Hi, this is Jim Campilongo, and today I thought I'd share the jazz records that were a real big influence on me personally. And I mean, I need that disclaimer because they're not, a lot of them aren't like the traditional jazz records that people talk about. And these are fairly unique. And I'll explain why. I mean, they're not, you've probably heard of most of them, but they allowed me in some ways, like a 14-year-old, in some cases, young guy who was into blues and rock, have a gateway to jazz. I could have a higher, I don't want to use the word pretentious, but a higher IQ, here's Lenny Breau, here's Wes Montgomery. Those guys aren't even on who I'm doing. And but hopefully, I just think this is just great music, and it's in my DNA. Okay, enough of that. The first record is Pioneers of the Jazz Guitar on Yazoo, and it was released in 1977. Now, it's a compilation of many guitarists. Eddie Lang is one of them, and Lonnie Johnson's on it. But basically, it's from the late 20s, early 30s, and it's when a lot of guitarists were making the transition from banjo to guitar. And the thing I love about this record is it isn't jazz. There's unique guitar compositions. My favorite being Dick Mcdonough is how I think you pronounce his name, doing Chasin' a Buck. And it's just a great guitar composition, and pre-jazz, pre-bop. And really exciting stuff. I mean, there's kind of a vaudeville mentality to entertain, I think, in this era, and just really worth seeking out. And I found it really inspiring. And if you can, check out that track. If you like that track, you'll like the entire record, I think. Okay, the next record is Julie London, Cry Me a River. Released, I think, in 1955 on the Liberty label, Julie's first record or debut record, and she's accompanied by Barney Kessel, and I hope this is right, Ray Leatherwood's on bass. Just those two and Julie singing. And if you guys follow my thing, I've covered Cry Me a River, which is from this record. And there's a version of Laura on there that just has this mysterious, almost creepy chord voicings. And the thing I love about this record, aside from Julie's voice, which is really angelic and pure, is that Barney plays parts. And I really appreciated that then, and I still do now. I mean, for a weak analogy, it's almost like a George Harrison plays jazz guitar or something. It's like really good parts. He has a jazz mentality. He plays traditional jazz stuff, but nonetheless, he hones in on a part, and it really makes the songs really easy to relate to. So I highly recommend this too. Okay. This is Howard Roberts is a dirty guitar player. I think, I can't remember when this was released, maybe around 61, it would be my guess. 1961 on Capitol. Sundays re-released it, which really made me feel good because I thought it was like this little secret of mine of this underrated gem of a record. There's a B3 player, Kendrix was his last name, who's just smoking. And I looked at his discography, and he's only on one other record for his career. So I don't know what happened to him. Maybe Bert Kendrix is his name. Anyway, but Howard absolutely smokes on this record, and does tunes like Satin and has like a new perspective that's really funky and bluesy. He does Little Darlin, and it's just great, super swinging, tight arrangements, super eventful, flashy solos. It's just a perfect jazz record to me. Now, it's not loose as a goose, but I dig the craftsmanship of it. There's just enough to where, the middles sound fiery and improvised, but there's always like a little touch that makes it really palatable. And when I was a teenager, I appreciated that. It helped me. I wasn't hearing Joe Pass play Stella by Starlight. Like I didn't relate to that, but I could really relate to this record, and I still do. Okay, now this one's kind of a weird one, I think. I have two more. This is Willie Nelson, Somewhere Over the Rainbow. And I think it was released in 1981 on, I can't find the label, but again, I think Paul Buskirk's on it, playing guitar and mandolin. Great guitarist. It's a great cast, and it helped me relate to the songs. I remember hearing I'm Confessin' That I Love You, and I might have heard Les Paul and Mary Ford do it, but I really related to it. What else is on here? Exactly Like You, Mona Lisa, which I covered in two guitars, in no small part to it being on this record. It Wouldn't Be the Same Without You, lovely song. And the solos are really wonderful and real melody based. I think Willie takes quite a few solos, and he stays to the melody and embellishes certain phrases, and that's, I learned that from him. There's nothing wrong with playing the melody. There's kind of that Django-esque Freddie Green rhythm too, which started to make sense to me from this record. I just think it's got a great vibe, and I learned so much from it. And again, it made me realize that these, jazz standards in the real book by those Berkeley guys were actually songs that I could relate to. So I don't know. It always took me a long time to get to the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, but this was definitely, no pun intended, this was definitely one of those records. And again, like, you can always play the melody. Just listen to this. Last but not least, and I almost feel guilty for showing and exhibiting this record once again, Brisbane Bob Jimmy Rivers, but I had to include it. I got this probably around the same time, 84, 85, something like that. And at first I didn't like the record because it just sounded so bad. I mean, it's some guy left a tape recorder on the stage, literally, and that's how this record was recorded. I mean, now I love it, but at first I put it on and thought, I'm not relating to this. A couple of months later, I put it on, and it just connected with me. Rivers' lines are amazing. They're bluesy. They're Charlie Christian inspired, but with something else, and it's usually some simple touch that's so brilliant. I learned Jimmy's Blues from this record, and it took me a little while, but after I learned it, I felt like it could have been worked out, and I started to think, is this a worked out solo? Because the dismount at the end's perfect. It's very eventful. It's fast when it should be, slow when it shouldn't be. It just sounded composed to me. And when I met him a couple of years later, I asked him if it was worked out. And he looked at me kind of like, what an absurd question, and said, no, we were all drunk. And I mean, I don't, advocate drinking while playing, but that said, I was kind of relieved that, it was just an off-the-cuff solo that was so perfect, and And as I played with him upon meeting him, that was just reinforced that he could just do that. But love this record. Maybe I'll mention it again, I don't know. So I didn't want this to be too long, and I don't know if I mentioned this, but I really wish I could have played clips from it, but I did this on a country LP thing I did, and I played some clips, and I got nailed for copyright infringement. And even coincidentally, I got nailed for copyright infringement playing a song from one of my own records. So whatever the algorithm detective is, doesn't go, oh, this is Jim Campilongo promoting a record that he loves, or this is Jim Campilongo playing Jim Campilongo. It just, and I don't want my channel taken down. Otherwise I would, fellas. I know it's not the same, but hopefully you could at least find this stuff on YouTube. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I know people have asked me to do this, and so here it is. I'm thinking about doing it for steel guitar records, and maybe even fusion might be fun. But in any event, I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you find these records as inspiring as I did. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching, and thanks for subscribing to Patreon. Have a great day.